Hey girl, welcome back to another episode of Motherhood with Mama Love Grounds. I'm your host, Ayra Lee, a birth keeper, postpartum caretaker, mother, and wife. I work with families locally in Ventura County as well as virtually all around the world. If you don't know your choices, you have none. This podcast is my way of spreading the word and sharing the knowledge so that you can make powerful choices from a place of knowledge, love, and sovereignty. We'll unpack everything related to motherhood under the sun, one woman's story at a time. If there's a topic you'd like to have explored or a guest you'd like to have on, please submit that using the request link below in the description so that we can try to make it happen. Now, let's move on to today's journey. Hi, Cyierra. Welcome.
Hello. It is nice to be here.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you agreed to come. I can't wait to hear your story. So let's just get into it. Tell me who you are and what your intro to motherhood looked like.
Well, my name is Cyierra. I go by Cyierra the Alchemist, or my Instagram is Menace the Alchemist. I go by different titles. Um, my intro to motherhood. Wow. Ah, I actually never thought I would want kids until I met my current partner, which is kind of ironic. We've been together since 2018, and our relationship, everything about our relationship is completely on unorthodox and non-traditional to his family, to mine. And I guess my intro to motherhood couldn't be anything but the same.
Mm,
Um, like I said before meeting my partner, I really didn't think about what my life would look like as a mother. I didn't really have the best influences as per childhood, and I don't know. I always looked at my friends and their experiences in TV and what they show for
yeah.
ideas for what motherhood would look like for me. And
Mhm.
that can be kind of toxic. So I guess once I started to live life, I moved to LA in 2018 and started my businesses. We were talking a little bit about that. One of my businesses actually is called Munchies R Us. I specialize as a private chef, a cannabis entrepreneur,
Mm,
and I make a lot of cannabis infused products. Growing up, I actually had a brain malformation, which is why I never really envisioned myself being a mom because, with my brain malformation, it has to do with my nervous system. So
mhm,
it was more so I would deal with a lot of physical pain and debilitating migraines up
mm,
until 2018, moving to LA and starting my business and branching out and smoking weed, doing those things. I was in pain. I was not thinking about kids. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to deal with that, especially
yeah.
throwing in like the period pains. So we worked through that. My partner really helped me with that. Um, I mentioned my business, Munchies R Us. So starting with that business, I did a lot of networking. I met a lot of different people, and a lot of the networking led me to different smoke shops in the area that I live in. I ended up meeting a couple. They already had a daughter. We were just talking about a couple of different things, and at the time, I happened to be going through a really rough patch, and I never really thought that like I would want a child
Mhm,
intensely, but something was calling me towards motherhood at that point. I was really feeling like I don't want to build an empire without someone to leave it to, you know?
yeah.
What's the point? Like, everyone thinks about these materialistic things in life. I love those things. You can go on my social media, you can see I love those things. But at the end of the day, I don't care if we're not going to live that life to leave it for someone.
Mhm,
And when talking about business, I always talk about how I wanted to teach my kids to value things at a younger age. So when they grow up and I do leave those things to them, they know the dedication, the hard work that went into it. And we don't leave them something and they just burn through it. They don't care. They
Yeah.
burn it to the ground. So, me and my partner talked about it and we didn't have the same mindset. So that went on for, years. You kind of like let it go and it for me it lingered. I tried to let it go, but it got to a point where I was like, you know what? I don't know how to deal with this. So I
Mm.
actually started my business, my second business, which is the Angel Sanctuary, and I make intention charge skincare products and self-care products for women and men like myself who are struggling with certain things, whether that be like um skincare issues, actual healthcare issues like rheumatoid arthritis, acne, or you're dealing with insecurities, body dysmorphia, feeling like you're depressed, you have tons of anxiety,
Mhm.
even spiritual things. I make things that help with bad energies, that help with fertility, that clear your womb. So, in starting to do those things, I started making the products for myself initially, and it eventually turned into me giving it to one of my friends. I told her about it. I mentioned smoke shops and going to network. I found one of the smoke shops in my neighborhood and became friends with one of the owners, and she was super interested in trying my products. Her name at the time was Ashley. There's another girl, her name's Ellie. That's the one who I'm still friends with. Ashley and Ellie both tried the products. They both loved them. And Ashley and her husband ended up getting pregnant with their second baby girl, which was kind of
Oh.
crazy. It was super crazy. And for me, seeing that it just was encouragement, it kind of took it off of my mind. I didn't even recognize that that was something that I was longing for while I was working and crafting those products for other people because I was
Mm.
helping them.
Yeah.
So, I continue doing that. I continue making the yoni oils and making different self-care products. I started going to different markets in the area. There's Brujita Market, which is I know they're on a hiatus right now, but they're all over LA. They also did a market up in Oxnard, which was super cool. Um, I also was doing some other things to help people, like I started doing spirit baby readings and tarot readings, but I only offer them for people that I'm close to. I don't
Mhm.
sell my readings and things of the sort. So that was really kind of how I focused on my introduction to motherhood. And before I even got pregnant, I was doing tons, and I mean tons of research on, motherhood itself, birth, what the birthing process looks like, because for Black women, it does look
Look a
different.
little
And
different.
yeah, I've had really, really shitty experiences, excuse my language. I've had really, really bad experiences in the medical industry. I have family in the medical industry. With my brain malformation,
Mm.
I pretty much taught myself everything that there is to know about my own brain malformation, which is dangerous. I've
Yeah.
gone to neurologists, I've gone to physical therapists, I've gone to the ER, I've gone to hospitals, and they don't know anything about my brain malformation,
Yeah.
to a point where I didn't find out until like 2020 that no, actually, it was 2021, 2022 before I gave birth, like maybe before I got pregnant. A year before I got pregnant, I got into a car accident and they wanted to give us a treatment of 6 spinal injections. If I would have took that treatment, that would have killed me. And not even trying to be dramatic, but one of the things that I can't have with my brain malformation is a spinal tap or epidural. And I didn't know
Oh,
that at the time. If I had not done that
wow.
research, and if I had not stuck with my intuition and said no, something would have
Mhm.
happened to me and I would not be talking to you right now. And
Wow.
I've been in that situation multiple times. I was pressured by lawyers to say yes and get the treatment for money, and it wasn't worth it to me.
So that obviously had a big part to play in why you chose free birth then. I don't
Oh,
even
yeah. That
Yeah.
is the biggest well, that was one of the biggest factors in why I chose free birth because they don't listen. They
Yeah.
don't. In the heat of the moment, it's understandable. I know that some decisions are rash. They have to do what it takes to get the baby and the mother out of the delivery room safe. But
Mhm.
in some instances, the decisions that they make in rash and quick moments can be life or death for us.
Not only the decisions they I think the issue is the situations they create when there is no emergency. They
And that
create
too.
these things, and they're life-threatening situations that were unnecessary. So, yeah, I think that's a big, big issue. So I see why. I mean, I don't have anything to that extent, but I had a lot of issues in the medical system also that made me start questioning things. And I knew there was no way I was going to have my baby in a hospital if I could help it. So I feel you. I really, really feel you on that.
It's like
Do you-
arguing with people when you say that.
yeah, I know. Do you want to get into your birth story?
I would love to talk about it.
Yes,
Oh,
let's hear it.
well, it's pretty through and through, but we had so many ideas of how it was gonna go down, what we thought was gonna happen. Oh my god. Every time I think about my birthing story, I just think, "I know this man did not call 911 because his head came."
Oh,
Oh my
no.
it's so funny. So, pretty much,
Oh.
the day started off normal. We had went that weekend, his mom was trying to get me to go walking. It's like she
Mhm.
wanted me to give birth. I'm like, "Listen, lady, he's coming out when he wants. I don't care. But I want him to come out before November because I did not want a November baby. I'm sorry."
How far along were you when you started walking and stuff?
I was 39 weeks. I was about to be 40 weeks when I
Okay,
started walking. I
okay.
was like, you know what? I had been very active my whole pregnancy. I was like, I'm not about to do the most to get him to come out. He's coming on his own time.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
the whole point in me doing this free birth if I'm going to rush him, you know?
Right, absolutely.
And you know, we had went to the swap meet. We had went a couple of other places, but the day we went to the swap meet, which I will never forget, it was October 29th. This lady had us walking around the whole market, and I didn't
Mm.
want to leave because I'm a shopaholic. But while we're there, I'm like, damn, my stomach is hurting. I'm cramping. Like, what? I'm like, no, not the 29th, not the 29th, not to, please, Halloween.
Oh my
So
god.
I really wanted a Halloween baby. I knew he was going to come on that day. So we're walking around, and I'm just, I'm getting cramps, but they're not bad enough to make me double over and make me stop walking. I was walking the whole time.
Yeah,
And I didn't realize like how intense they were gonna build up until we got in the car. For whatever reason, I didn't want my boyfriend to drive. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna drive home.
oh, you thought you were gonna drive home,
I thought I was big and bad. I was in LA traffic driving from the OC back to LA having Braxton Hicks the
huh?
whole time. And keep in mind, I'm like, I hadn't had them my whole pregnancy, didn't know
Oh.
what they felt like, so I thought I was in labor. I was like, booby, the baby might be coming right now." And he's like,
Mhm.
"Did your water break?" I'm like, "No."
It doesn't always break before the baby comes, guys, like
And that's what I was like. I was like, let's see if I get any more contractions. So,
Mhm.
the whole time we're in traffic, it's just intense, intense, intense. And then I get over. As soon as I get off to our exit, which the Slauson exit, I get off, they stop. I'm like, okay. So I drive home as normal. He's like, "Are you okay? You want me to pull over?" I'm like, "No, I'm fine." We drive home.
Mm.
Next day, completely fine. Nothing happens for the rest of the day. This is the baby, you guys.
Hello, cutie.
He's like, "Stop talking about me. I want to be present." So The next day, this little man was chilling. He had all his I don't Yes, we went to the grocery store the next day. We stocked up on groceries. We have a neighborhood cat that was obsessed with me, obsessed with him during
Yeah.
my pregnancy. And that day, we just like, she had been gone. And I remember this is why I'm mentioning it. She had been gone for like maybe like a week at this point. We hadn't seen her for a week. And then the day before I gave birth, we seen her, I pet her, and then she disappeared again. I went into labor that same morning, like the next morning at 7 in the morning. I get up,
Okay.
I get up to go to the bathroom and I'm like, normal, normal. This is what I usually do. He usually wakes me up at like 5, anywhere between 5 to 6 or 5 to 7 in the morning to go to the bathroom. So it was 7, and I'll remember this because I looked at the damn phone. It was like 7:20 in the morning. I never wake up that early except for being pregnant. And I get up, like push my body up, and it just I was like, why I feel like that. You know, right before you get your period, like that
Yep.
feeling you get.
Mhm.
I was feeling like that and I was like, ugh. And then I like climbed over my boyfriend and I stood like next to him on the bed and I just go, yeah, my water just broke. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad the day after I went on the walk, I had decided no, the day that we went on the walk to the swap meet, I had decided to put the disposable underwear on and just keep
Mm,
wearing them until my water broke.
yeah.
I was so glad I was wearing them because when I went to the bathroom, I was correct. I didn't pee on myself and my water had broke.
Yep.
This man,
So your water really did break before at the start of your labor.
it broke and I was like, "You know what? I'm fine. Okay." He was like, "Your water broke?" This man never, and I mean never, wakes up out of his sleep to hear anything that I have to say. Oh, he is the type of person like you could say there could be an earthquake and he would not hear you. So the fact that he heard me say that my water broke and I said it like pretty quietly was hilarious to me. And he
Yeah.
just pops up out of bed and I just hear him. I didn't want anyone to know we are in labor. This man goes and tells his mom. His
Oh.
mom is getting ready to go to work. Keep in mind we live with her. So I'm like, I'm like, damn it. But I'm like, I guess it makes sense for her to know because we don't want anyone to come home while we're like, I'm butt ass naked in their living room. So like, so we're just at this point, I just told him get the tub ready because I didn't really know how far I was. I wasn't really paying attention to any of that. I was just going by how I was feeling. And
That's
I can tell
just to
you,
be clear, that is the only way to judge anything. Like, there's no magic tool, there's no
no,
certain amount of dilation, there's no positioning of the baby in the belly. Like, you just know when the baby comes. Like, that's it. You know when your body starts pushing.
that was me. And that was my labor was so unorthodox. If I tell people like what I really did in labor, they're gonna be like, what the fuck is wrong? Like,
No one here will think that. This is what we're here for. These are the stories we are here to tell and learn from. So,
well, I've mentioned before in this story, I'm a canna mom. So with that being said, my labor at throughout my labor, there was no pain for me. I
mhm.
think the most painful part was when I recognized that, okay, yeah, we're switching this up and he's starting to, I can feel him pushing more. The whole
Yeah.
time, like before I gave birth, before I went into labor, the whole time he was just positioned with his head engaged. He had been head down, engaged, ready to go since before 27 weeks. This
Mhm.
man was just ready.
Mhm.
He wanted to come into this world. And well, yeah, so let's get back to the story. I mentioned he went inside to tell his mom. This was like 7 in the morning. I'm still in the bathroom trying to figure out, well, okay. I'm about to be a mom.
Mhm.
I'm sitting on the toilet, like, this man just went in there to yell and tell his mom. I should probably change into something more comfortable. I don't remember what I was wearing at first. I was probably like wearing a t-shirt and like just the disposable underwear because I couldn't wear pants.
Oh, no.
I got my moo and I said, you know what? This is gonna be it. This is what
That's
I
the
got.
perfect thing.
And I went inside and she's like, are you sure you don't want to go to the hospital? I just looked at her like,
Ah.
lady, get the fuck out of my face and go to work. I love you, but go. Get. I'm not going to no damn hospital. They
Right.
gon' they gonna make my labor longer,
Mhm.
and we'll get to that because I was right. So
Oh.
I got inside. She left at like 8. It's been like a whole 30 minutes. I don't know how long. Once I recognized I was in labor, time just melted for me. I did not know. Like we were keeping track of time, but the concept of time did not make sense to me. My boyfriend, he if you talk to him, he'll be like, "Yeah, no, she was out of it."
Oh,
Like
yeah.
she was out of it. I kept telling him I felt like I was gonna pass out.
Oh.
Even though I didn't pass out, it just felt like I was gonna pass out. Now, it wasn't because of pain, but because of I guess the intensity of the contractions. For me, it wasn't a painful thing. It was just intense.
Yeah.
And you want to sleep, but you can't.
Oh,
So
man, don't get me started on that.
and he wouldn't let me sleep. That's why I was like, "Okay, you won't let me sleep until I get this baby out? Alright, fine."
Who is he? The baby? The baby or the husband?
They both would not let me sleep.
Oh,
The
no.
baby he was like, "Listen, I'm trying to come out. You could take a little 5-second dozer, but this contraction is coming in 2 seconds." And then, like, I okay, so, his mom left at 8. I wanna say from, 10 o'clock until 2 p.m.
Mhm.
They were manageable. I was able to walk around the house, just dance, not necessarily dance because that was something that I did not do. I tried. I thought I was gonna do that, but I tried to sway a little bit.
Mhm.
I tried to eat. Mm-mm. This man was not having it, and I mean, my baby was not having it. She was like, "Yeah, mom, all that fruit that you're trying to put into your body right now, no,
Throw it up.
don't think about." Yep, throw it up. My boyfriend was shoving liquid IVs down my body. Like, I
Mm.
think I drank 5 bottles of liquid IVs,
Oh,
and I'm glad that he
man.
did that because I was super hydrated, I had no issues. Um, this is all between, like, 10 p.m. till 12,
PM?
just trying to 12 p.m.
Okay.
So, we've gone from, 7 a.m. to 12 p.m.,
Mhm.
and the contractions are I believe they were anywhere between 5 minutes apart. They were starting to get from 5 minutes apart to 3 minutes going down.
Yeah.
So, I think around 2 p.m. is when I started to notice no, 1 p.m. I remember this because I ended up taking a dab. Now, when I tell people this, they're like, "Y you did what?" And I'm like, "Yes. Yes." It started to feel like I was getting my period cramps, and when I tell people this, my period cramps before I gave birth were 10 times worse than my contractions. Sorry,
Ever was.
contractions? It was bad.
And I just
I
wanna
did
interject really quickly. If anyone feels some type of way about the dab, I can get it if you don't agree with it, but just understand there are less chemicals in the cannabis than there are in anything they give you at the
in a
hospital
hospital.
while you're in labor. So that epidural that has like a bajillion drugs in it, or any of the stuff that they give you really, like it's got a lot more going on with a lot more risks than any form of cannabis is gonna have.
Oh, yeah. And one thing about it was, during my pregnancy, with me having my brain malformation, I can't take any pain medications. The only
Mm.
type of pain medications you could take is baby Tylenol,
Mm.
even if that. And I mentioned before, any type of pain medications that I take, ibuprofen, Tylenol, things of that sort, my body eats it. And this is something that I've been experiencing since I was 15, beyond 15. I've been experiencing I was born with my brain malformation, but been experiencing pain since I was 3 years old. I've been complaining about pain since I was 3. Imagine how that feels for someone like
Mm.
me who is now 23 years old,
Mhm.
now knowing that the cure to my pain was a plant
Yeah.
that people demonize.
Mhm.
And people include my parents, my mother, my own mom now partakes in enjoying the plant because she's seen what it did for me. My mom had to watch me be in debilitating pain, take me to doctors. She thought I was being dramatic.
Mhm.
Now I don't complain. My boyfriend has seen the difference that it's made for me.
That's
So,
beautiful.
you know, I will take the criticism that people like if they feel some type of way, okay, and but you
Just
don't
don't
know what it's
choose
done
it
for
for
me.
yeah, just don't choose it for yourself if you don't agree with
Right.
it and let people do them, honestly. So you took your dab, and what did it do for your labor?
Honestly, it kind of well, the contractions for me, I was able to handle them,
Mhm.
and I calmed down because at one point I was freaking. I You go through these ups and downs when you're in labor,
Oh,
and
yeah.
people you hear so many women talk about it. It's like, "I can do this, I can do this." Fuck, I can't fucking do this.
Mhm.
I can't fucking do this. I wanna go. Like, I was going from the couch to the tub, to the couch to the tub, and I'm just like at one point, I'm like, "I don't know if I can do this." Like, I'm fucking tired. We've been in this for, like, 5 hours at this point. I'm fucking tired. I wanna go to sleep. You won't let me eat. This man keeps shoving liquid IVs down my throat.
Just a victim, huh? Just being terrorized.
I'm being terrorized, and it's not even that bad. The contractions are the best part of this. Like, leave me alone, okay? And then keep in mind, like, we have 3 dogs. My dogs are not barking. They're, like, the type to bark all day long. They're at the door looking at us like, "Is she okay?" I did I think I can count on one hand. I think I screamed, like, 3 times throughout my labor, how many times I screamed, and I think there is the point he was just talking to me. He was like, Are you okay? You can do this." And I just fucking screamed at him. I'm like, "Ah!" Like a maniac. But
Yeah.
it wasn't because of the pain, it was because of me being, like, tired, and I
Mhm.
felt overwhelmed. So
Yes, I relate to that because I mean, I would definitely would say it was painful for me, like, I would use that word to describe my labor, but that doesn't mean that it was the worst part either. Like, there's something about the intensity of it, the exhaustion, the just, like, get it over with, that's the part that's, like, you can't escape it, and that's the part that makes
right.
you wanna scream, at least in my experience, it was.
No, you definitely hit it on the nail with that. For me, it wasn't like, okay, I have this bowling ball trying to fit its way out of me. But it was more so like, okay, his head, it keeps it for me, it wouldn't just come out.
Oh, you
It
were one
kept
of those.
my
I was
God,
praying to not be I was praying for that to not be my experience.
that was me. That's why I kept going from the tub to the couch. I wasn't in the right position. But it was because I was tired. I was trying to be lazy. And what did they tell you? What position not to give birth on? Your back. I was laying in the tub trying to lay on my back or lay on my side to be
Mhm.
comfortable. And it's not about being comfortable. It really isn't.
Well, I will say though, there's I don't believe, um that there's anything wrong with birthing on your back if you intuitively move onto your back. It's when you're
And
forced
that's
onto your back and you're not allowed to do what your body's leading you to do, that's when it becomes a problem. But when the mother leads herself into that position, that's the position she needs to be in. Whatever position, no matter what it is, that's the position your baby is telling you, hey, this is what I need for to make my entrance. And so I don't think that she did anything wrong by doing that, you know?
no, yeah. He kept telling me, "Get up." This baby, he was telling me, "Get up." Um, between the point of, like after I took the dab, it's like 12 going on to 1 o'clock. I
Mhm.
had decided, you know what? Let's check where he's at. So I got on the couch and I let him check. This man has videos in his phone. That's like the only way he could check. So he took a video and he showed me. He's like, this is where his head is at. Like we could see his head. And I'm like, okay, okay, I can work with that.
You're like,
Okay.
don't even know what it means, huh? Just you just see it and you're like, there's more of the
I
head.
was like, his head is right there. That means that we're working with something, but I'm like, okay, if he's not coming down, that means that we have to help him. Like, there's something that I need to do to help him. So I think at this point, I just decided to walk around a little bit. I walked around the kitchen and I wanted to set up the tens machine so bad. I had one,
Mhm.
didn't use it. I really wish I would have because those things they're amazing.
I love them too.
At this point, after I walked around and I got back on the couch, I was on my hands and knees on the couch. We have like a recliner. We reclined it and I did that for a bit, which allowed me to actually relax while letting him descend in a better
Yeah.
position for me. I just felt I think there was a point, it was like 1:30. I felt like, yeah, no, I need to get back in the tub. He's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm not okay. I'm gonna go to the tub now." He's
Mhm.
like, "Do you want me to put water in it?" I'm like, "No, don't fill it. Like, don't fill the water. Just turn the water on." I made him put the water as hot as he could, and I just laid not necessarily laid, but I laid on my side and then
Mhm.
did the same thing with the hands and knees. Woo! We were there for about honestly, I believe from 1:30 to like 2
Mhm.
before I realized, okay, like I can feel him push. I started actually to push around like 2. I'm like,
Okay.
okay, let's do this.
Ooh.
He's like, I felt like it was like something going on. And he's like, I think you need to try a different position. Turn off the water. We get out, go over there. I try pushing on the couch. And we try that for like, I don't really try pushing. I let my body do its own thing.
Mhm.
But we tried that for a bit. And I wasn't really having issues, but I realized that maybe I did need to actually go with my body and push. When
Yeah.
people say that you're gonna know intuitively what to do, you do, but it takes a little time to like figure it out. Especially on your own. There's no coaching. This is intuitive. You have to figure it out. My boyfriend, I did the work for both of us. Okay, I did the research for both of us. So he's just trusting me
Mhm.
and listening to what I have to say and how I'm feeling. If I told him like, "Okay, I don't think I could do this." He was like, "Are you sure? You sure? You sure?" And then, "Okay, let's go to the hospital." But the whole time, I think I recognized that, I needed to actually help my body. So I stayed there and tried to push a little bit with my body. And I realized that, maybe I should do the water again
Mm.
to help with easing lubrication and stuff like that because I didn't want to
Fair.
have force and tear. Yeah, because that was one of my biggest fears.
Mhm.
I don't every no, that was one of my biggest fears. I'm not gonna speak for other. This is where the fun. This is the funniest part. This is
Alright,
where the fun.
I'm ready. I want to hear it. I want to laugh.
So, oh Lord, girl, men are embarrassing. Men are embarrassing. We get in the tub, and as soon as I got off the couch, I felt the difference. I told you I
Oh.
had did a little bit of pushing. I
Mhm.
guess that little bit of pushing was enough to actually get his head past the point where it was. And he actually had recorded when I after I would push with the contractions, and he was like, "No, yeah, you that worked."
Mhm.
So we moved back to the water, and he was putting the water on my back, and while I was on my side and I had my leg up, which was one of the positions that was really helping me, especially
Nice.
with the water. And he's like, Cece, I can see his head. I can see his head. And I'm like,
Ah!
okay, okay, his head is coming. Fuck, his head is coming. It's like 3:15 at this point.
Did that excite you? Did it scare you? How did you feel once you knew his head was there?
His head was there. I was like, I don't even care what the hell happens right now. He's being born. Like,
Yes.
I was super excited. The adrenaline I got was crazy. Like,
Mhm.
oh, I got chills saying it, but that was the energy I needed to actually get through it on my
Yep.
own. Like, I kid you not, there was times where I was literally telling him, I feel like I'm not strong enough to do it. Even though I knew I was, it just felt like I'm tired.
Yeah.
Like, plain and simple, I'm tired. It's not like I want to go to the hospital and have them do this for me. It's not like I would be weak. I just want it to be known, if you choose to free birth and you still feel like you need to transfer to a hospital because you are tired, you're still strong. You're still
Oh,
strong for
yeah.
giving birth in the first place.
You're
So
strong
me
no matter where you give birth and no matter how, because birth isn't
Yep.
easy, and I think that's the point is, yes, they can make you more comfortable in the hospital, but they can also make you a lot less comfortable, and they can make things a lot more unpleasant than they would be because we're built to birth, um, and so our bodies know what to do, and it will work almost every single time on your own, and even if you're dealing with the pain and the discomfort of it, there's something about it that, like you said, like now you get the adrenaline rush and you're ready to get your baby out. And yeah, you might be tired and need assistance after that, and that's okay. I agree with you. Wherever you do it, however you do it, you're strong because becoming a mother is hard.
Oh yeah.
There's no easy way out, so I guess that's my point. There is no easy way out. So pick the way that feels best to you to bring your child into the world, because there's no cop out. There really isn't.
Mm-mm. There really isn't. And the craziest thing about it is there were so many different opportunities for us. We weren't going to choose free birth.
Mhm.
My partner wasn't comfortable with it. When I told him what I wanted to do, he was like, "Why?" Like, there was so much opposition when it came to us having the free birth. So at one point, like at the beginning of my pregnancy, I did choose to go to Kaiser, and I was going to start getting medical treatment with them. And they were very standoffish. Like, I'm
Mm,
not comfortable with certain things. I'm terrified of needles. And when I say terrified, like, I will have a panic attack and cry. I don't need
yeah.
that while pregnant.
No, you
That
don't.
So, with that being said, knowing how I get, I tried to offset that by asking questions and saying, like, hey, if I don't want to get this test done, can I exclude it? Like, can I say no?
Yeah.
They pretty much made it seem like if I said no to certain things, they would like call CPS or something like that on me.
Mhm.
And it just like that with factoring in them telling me, oh, well, you have a small cervix.
What?
What does that have to do with anything? Me having a small cervix doesn't change the way that I'm meant to birth. It's like,
I've never heard that one. I've never
well,
heard that one.
that comes into play for another story and why my friends are so interested in my birthing story. But let's get back to this man. The small cervix actually maybe that was why his head didn't want to come. I'm joking. But so yeah, um the getting my leg up actually really helped. His head started to pop out, and my when I mean pop out, I was like I was playing peekaboo with my son, okay?
Yep.
He was like, "Oh, mm, oh, mm, oh,
Just in and out.
no." Yeah, and at this point, it started to worry my boyfriend. I'm like,
Um,
"He didn't do he didn't, like, look at the videos." He was like, "I'm not comfortable looking at that." So I'm like, "Oh, I'm not gonna force you." So, with seeing that for the first time, he's like, "Is this normal?" He calls his aunt who's supposed to be with us, but for whatever reason, actually for other reasons, she had to be in Mexico. He's talking to her and explaining what's happening,
mhm.
and she's saying, "Well, how long is this going on?" And he tells her at this point, I didn't know. Like, I wasn't keeping track of time. I
Right.
was out of it. He's saying, like, this has been going on for this amount of time, blah, blah, blah. She's like, well, if it continues, call the EMTs and just go to the hospital. And I'm like, excuse me? Do what?
Right, yeah. Yeah, no one
Like,
gets to make that decision but you.
yo, yeah, hearing that, them talk about that on the phone, I
Mhm.
was like, that's enough. That was enough for him, the baby. He was like, "Oh, you guys are talking about going to the hospital and I'm right here? No, okay." And as soon as that sentence came out of her mouth and he continued, it's just like the world drowned out and I got another contraction. I'm like, "No, fuck that. I'm doing it myself."
Mhm.
And I stood up. I'm like,
Ooh.
everything in my body was like, "No, stand up." And he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Bro, fuck off." Like, in my head, I'm like, "Fuck off. I'm doing this myself. You guys are talking about going to the hospital." They were calling the EMTs on while I was
Aw,
giving birth.
trying to
So,
sabotage you. That's messed up.
oh, good for them. By the time the EMTs got there, he was already out. I did not care. Y'all are just taking us to get checked out at this point.
Mhm.
But as soon as they said that, I looked I looked over my shoulder, he's out the room. I'm like, "Oh shit." And I got the contraction, I braced my hands on the wall, and I was just like, "Ugh." It's just like it and I said this while I was in labor to my boyfriend. It felt like I was taking the largest shit of my life at
Yep.
that moment, and I just felt him pop, and I looked, and his head was there. Like, I just seen all this hair, and I'm like, "Oh my
Yay.
god." I think at that moment, it actually became real, like, "Oh shit, I was pregnant. Like, I'm giving birth. What the fuck?" Like, it really took me seeing his head come out of my body to actually recognize it. And I'm like, "Okay, okay, okay." And I'm like, "Edgar," I'm telling him, "Edgar, Edgar, come here." And his head came out and he's like, he comes in the room, he's like, his head came out. And he's still on the phone and I get another contraction. It took like another 2 contractions before his whole body came out and his dad caught him. And
Aw.
it was so cute. I cried. I'm not a crybaby. Well, I'm lying. I'm not a crybaby, but I cried and
Yes.
I was like, "Is that my baby? It's my."
Aw.
Like, who else's baby is it, man? Did they switch it? There's no other baby in the room.
Listen, you're high on all the love hormones. It's okay.
Like, it was crazy. I don't actually know what time exactly my son was born at, which is crazy for me, but I know for a fact that the EMTs got there at 3:25 or something like that.
Mhm.
And the funniest thing is I'm laying in the tub. I'm thinking like I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm just laying with him like I'm laying with him now. He's all cradled in my arms, sleeping.
Yes.
And we're looking at each other. I'm like, "Oh, he looks just like me." Me and his dad had a little standing joke. Oh, this is gonna be a little funny. He calls me double barrel shotgun because of my nose, right? My nostrils, and I call him Doofenshmirtz because he has a super pointy nose, right? And we were talking about if our son was gonna have like a Doofenshmirtz or like a shotgun nostrils, and he has my nose. He has a lot of my facial features, so that's
Oh.
what we were joking about when the EMTs came in. And then all of a sudden, I look up and I'm butt ass naked in front of seven, and no, eight,
Oh,
including my
Lord.
partner, 8 men, eight
No.
men. It was awkward, very awkward. But they're all looking at me like they look bewildered. All of them didn't know what to do. They're like, did she willingly give birth here?
Mhm.
The birthing story doesn't end there. Oh, we ended up getting transferred. We went to White Memorial Hospital, which was they were super hands-on. They were amazing with me and my son.
Mhm.
But offer it, I did not want an IV. They wanted to transport me in the ambulance with an IV. I told him, the one of the dudes, you're not going to be able to get an IV in my arm. The man collapsed one of my veins trying to get an IV in my arm after I told him that he wasn't going to be able to get
Why
an
was
IV in my
he
arm.
trying to do something that you specifically said you didn't want?
Because they don't listen. That
Oh.
so this is where the the whole they don't listen story comes in.
Mhm.
And it's no disrespect to any medical professional because I understand it's your job, but you also should be listening to your patients in certain instances because we know
In
ourselves.
every
And
instance, I think that
yeah,
the patient is the expert and the medical providers are there to they receive information from us and our bodies, and they're supposed to go off of that, not these arbitrary, like, standards of care that are out there, like, everyone needs an IV and blah, blah, blah. It's like, does
yeah,
she
no.
really need an IV right now? Probably not, so we don't need to force one on her against her will. Like, there's just all these yeah, I'm
And
not even
then
gonna
in a
go.
moving car, like doing an IV in a moving car in a city full of potholes, not the best place to do it.
Not at
Like we're
all.
already so that was experience number one on the way to the hospital. We get to the hospital. I'm still out of it. The only thing I'm paying attention to is this man.
As you should.
And I didn't birth my placenta at home. I didn't mention
Oh,
this.
oh my goodness.
So when baby was born, baby was attached and everything. We were just holding each other. I didn't let go of my son for almost like an hour till we got to the hospital. It was like maybe a complete hour after he was born.
Well, I'm
Um,
glad that maybe that's the reason I mean, I'm glad that they couldn't take him away from you in the ambulance or
oh no,
anything because he was attached to you still.
right? I was so happy. They couldn't even in the hospital, he was never apart from me. They never took him to any other rooms.
Mhm,
Even so, getting out of the ambulance, we were transferred to an ER room, which scared the shit out of me
mhm.
because being loopy on hormonal drugs, you think something's wrong. Seeing C-section room, my brain went to the worst. Like, is there another one in there that y'all don't? I
Oh,
don't know.
yeah, you were yeah, I feel you.
I don't. I don't know. It was just like the most. It's the most crazy thoughts going on at that
Mhm.
point, and I'm just like, no, Sierra, you're fine. You're fine. So I tune into what's going on, and they're asking me questions. They're kind of fascinated with my birth. Everyone in the labor delivery, they were kind of fascinated.
Mhm.
And the first experience I had was the I don't remember the doctor's name, but the doctor in charge asking me if I wanted pitocin to deliver my placenta, and I'm like, yeah, no, 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 no,
No, no, no.
don't stab me with that. I don't even like needles. She's
Yeah.
like, you don't want that? Okay.
I'm
She's
glad that
like,
they honored that.
yeah, I'm glad they did too, because if she would have stabbed me with that needle, I don't know what I would have done. I watching a lot of the videos and doing a lot of the research that I did during my pregnancy, I was prepared for the absolute worst. Like them to not listen to me if
Yeah.
I needed to go to the hospital, them stabbing me with a needle. I was prepared for a damn lawsuit because I don't know, but having the more relaxed experiences and them actually listening to my choices in
Mhm.
some instances, was a refresher for me.
That's
Um,
good. I'm so happy that you had that experience.
yeah, they were super fascinated. Like, I guess they drug tested me without me knowing, um, which was interesting. But they didn't drug test my son, which was funny. Well, because they knew they couldn't. That would have been something different. But they drug tested me, and I ended up talking to CPS while I was there. And I
Oh,
did,
man.
it was nothing crazy. I talked to a child worker and a social worker, and I explained to them my reasoning for smoking. I gave them my brain malformation. Even I had other doctors ask me about my brain malformation. They told me they were going to Google it,
Mm.
and that was settling for me. But I mean, with that being said, it was fairly relaxed. I ended up having to stay 48 hours in the hospital though because the hospital didn't do their due diligence. They didn't really ask me if I was expecting guests, and they, they let people into my hospital room who weren't even welcome there, which
Oh,
resulted in my blood pressure skyrocketing like
yeah.
super high,
Mhm.
and they thought that I had preeclampsia.
Mm.
So they wouldn't let me go home, even though I tried my best to calm down. I'm someone who doesn't like hospitals, so that situation was super stressful in itself. Like even though I was there to just get calmed down, checked out, my baby was fine. We were both fine. My vitals came back fine. His vitals came back fine.
Yeah.
Uh, all his tests were clear. I'm glad that they helped us with that. But that was super stressful knowing that they were trying to discharge my son and keep me for almost a
Oh, no.
week
No.
over someone showing up somewhere they weren't supposed to be.
Right.
And also because the hospital, like, they didn't ask me if I was expecting any guests or if anyone was coming with me. They did say that my partner was coming. Like the
Mhm.
ambulance let them know that my partner was coming, but they said no one else was coming.
Yeah.
And yeah, with that being said, I think that was like the worst part of my experience, knowing that I was super stressed in like those first days and
Yeah.
weeks because of something that was completely out of my control. And
Mhm.
it didn't really affect my breastfeeding, which was something that I'm thankful for. We
Yeah.
got the skin to skin. He was able to be with me in the hospital room 24/7. They didn't try to take him from me. They weren't trying to be they were super forceful with certain things. They gave me an IV port even though I told them that I didn't want one.
Mhm.
Well, because of the preeclampsia situation, they were supposed to administer me an IV port, and I let them do that because of my son. They were going to give me medications if my blood pressure didn't go down, which it did that same night. It went
Mhm.
down, so they were supposed to take the port out in the morning. They did a blood pressure check. They didn't take the port out in the morning, so they were supposed to administer medications at that point, which they never did. So I had a port in for 2 days,
For no
even
reason.
though yeah, for no reason, which was also stressing me out, and they wanted to keep me another 2 days because of that. My hand was in pain. They collapsed my there was so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
So,
why you
yeah.
chose to birth the way that you did to avoid these things. So, yeah.
And the craziest thing about it is my boyfriend now agrees we're doing home birth every time. Like,
Yep. Mhm. Got him on board.
this
So
man seen everything that happened in the hospital, like, after we chose not to go, and he
mm,
was like, "Oh, yeah, now I see what you meant by they would've
mhm.
probably messed something up."
For
But I'm
sure.
sorry to cut you off. What were you saying?
No. No, you're all good. That's I I've heard similar stories where moms are gonna do what they're gonna do. Moms are gonna do what they wanna do when it comes to their kids, and so I've heard other stories where everyone was against the free birth and the mom does it anyways, and then afterwards,
They're, oh, so
they
happy about
all are
it.
all for it because they see what happens once they transfer to the
Oh,
hospital or go just to
oh,
get checked up afterwards
oh.
and they realize. that's not really the best place for a new mom and a new baby to be if it's not an emergency, which obviously your case was not an emergency because you were fine. So
I
how many days was it before you went home?
think it was like 4 days postpartum when I went home. It
Mm,
was so it was November 4th when I went home, which was our original due date,
that's
which
funny.
was so funny to me because at that point I was pissed off. I had spent my anniversary in the hospital. I
Mm.
was mad, mad, mad. And then I had to come home and face the person who caused me to be in the hospital even more.
Oh,
And it just made like that was the start of a situation that just, yeah, we're not gonna talk about that. But
yeah.
it just I want people to actually understand that also being introduced to motherhood will show you the people who are a part of your village, and you should never really feel bad for keeping the boundaries or having your own intuition towards who you want around your children or
Mhm.
who you choose to involve in your pregnancy. If you feel like you shouldn't involve someone in your pregnancy, like, or bring them to ultrasound or tell them the gender of your baby or the name of your baby, then don't. There's a
Period.
reason for it. Like,
Absolutely.
something that is crazy for me, my intuition, a lot of moms, a lot of women will gaslight their own intuition,
Mhm.
and you know better. You get those slight tells about people, those slight feelings, especially while you're pregnant. The way people treat you and the way that they show up for you while you're pregnant is the way that they will continuously choose to show up for you while you're a mother, like while
Mhm.
your kids are not around.
Yep.
And whether that be a friend, whether that be a stranger, a coworker, or your own family, you need to dead that person. Like, I'm gonna be so transparent right now. Since giving birth, the people who have begged me and my partner to have children have been the people who have been pushing our boundaries, being disrespectful towards us as like as parents, and
Mm.
disregarding our child's privacy and our child's boundaries. Like,
Yeah.
people, when it surrounds birth and pregnancy, people are so englamored by the whole idea of an infant or a
Mhm.
newborn, but they're not englamored at the respect that that little person like entitles. Whether that be a
Mhm.
nurse or a family member, like they all deserve good fucking treatment. No one deserves to sit there and think that they are entitled to treat a child some type of way or they're entitled to be around a child for some
Right.
ugh, for whatever reasons. I don't know. But I see a lot of women who have struggled with those factors, especially after giving birth. Like, it comes out of nowhere. You don't expect
Yeah.
those people to act like that. I don't know. I I've had some interesting experiences since my son has been born, but it's a part of motherhood, and it's taught me to trust my intuition and to
Mhm.
be the way that I to be comfortable being the way that I am. I've always been the type of person to stand my ground and to stand up for other people. So me having a free birth, I guess it's right along with the type of person that I am.
Yeah. That's the
With
saying.
having Oh yeah.
I'm sure you've heard it too. It's we birth the way we live, and it's so true.
Free people, free births.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
ma'am. Well, I'm
That's
glad
kind of
that you
cute.
found your way. I'm glad that you found your way and that it ignited your intuition the way that it did. Um, I think that's the part of us that wants to scream in labor, even if it's not from the pain and it's from that intensity. It's that part of us that's being born with this new, deepened, freshly awakened intuition, and capability of protecting this new life and this new little soul that we bring in, you know?
Honestly, I'm gonna also put something in. I feel like another reason why women scream when we're in labor and while we're giving birth is because of our primal instincts too, and because we can. It feels good to release that. Like, when else can you just scream? let out that primal scream that you've been holding in and nobody's gonna judge you. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it feels good. And let's be real, when have you screamed like that since and released that? It's like while we're giving birth, we're becoming a new person, we're giving birth to a new person, but we're also releasing a ton of energy that we've had stored up to become this new person, to
Mhm.
to enter this new stage in life. And I think I don't know, I've changed a lot in the
Oh, yeah.
last 6 months since no, 7 months technically since being a mom. But I wouldn't take anything back. I'm glad. I can't really say I've changed. I really can just say that it's unlocked.
Evolved, maybe?
Yes. It's definitely unlocked someone who's already been there,
Mhm.
just a little tucked away.
Yeah.
I've always been seen as the mother in my friend groups, whether intentional or unintentional. So I guess stepping into the role of motherhood is something that became fitting and natural for me. It was to come I guess I got tired of mothering other people. I'm not your mom, okay? You're not my kids, so I might as well have my own kid and mother someone who you know who needs the nurturing, who deserves to be protected. Like everyone deserves to be protected. Don't take me the wrong way, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, for
Who
sure.
needs my energy more than anyone else? I love my friends, I love my family, and I love meeting new people, but my kids, my family, the family that I'm building, they deserve my energy more than anyone else. And when I have any other energy to give to anything else, my projects, to other people's projects, I will give that because that's the type of person that I am. I love to do that. But my child comes first. And
For
the other
sure.
children that I'm hoping to have, because my goal is to free birth twins.
Okay.
Don't don't keep
One of
me
my
up to
best
that one.
friends did. It was one of the first births I attended as a birth keeper.
Okay. I love that.
Well, actually, I showed up immediately after because her whole labor with twins was like an hour.
Oh my.
It was
And you
crazy.
see,
But yeah, I really, really
that's
appreciate you sharing your story and walking me through your journey to motherhood. Your baby's up. Oh, hi, baby.
it's like I slept for the most important part.
Thank
Wait,
you for being born so your mommy could share this story with me.
see, I am very
Do you
welcome.
wanna tell everyone where they can find you if they wanted to get some of your products that you create? I know you said yoni oils and things like that.
So, if you're interested in any of my self-care products or my beauty products, you can find me at the Angel Sanctuary. I will actually send you my business information. And if you're interested in any infused products, we make infused skincare products. You can also find us there. Or you can find us at the Cross-Faded Kitchen where we make infused platters, infused cooking oils, and things of the sort. We
Perfect,
also make
and all of that will be
non-infused.
linked below. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Sierra, for sharing your story, and I hope to
You're
talk to you
welcome.
soon. All right, guys, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please remember to rate and review this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and comment. I really, really want to hear from you. I want to know what you think, if you relate, all the things. Once again, thank you so much for your time, and I will catch you in the next episode.